Today I'm going to show you the euro dollar and a bit of my own schizophrenia. Well, maybe not mine, maybe the market schizophrenia. Like seeing it from both the long and short side, that kind of mix, and what actually led me into these trades, you know? Trades, trade or trade. Let's take a look at it together. Here, a pretty nice situation developed here and readable for me. Clear in the sense that I have a zone here. That zone is just obvious zone 2, 3, the fourth time, the fifth time we've hit that zone. That's how I count those touches at the support. Resistance zone on the fifth attempt, we broke through, was beautiful. You know, we approached it again, stretched it out, and then broke through impulsively with a single candle, which was my favorite. For me, that's a top situation when it happens with a single candle. I really like that. What made me a bit uneasy, though, was this wick, the shadow. I was thinking, uh-oh, here we've already hit some pretty similar highs at the very last moment. Otherwise, on the H4 or daily chart, it's a completely different story. But in that final moment, there was no more interest in trading here. It was already dropping down. And I thought to myself, uh-oh, I'll definitely wait here. I won't rush into placing a pending order right away. And I'll wait to see if the market really wants to go up or if it's going to break down. Let's take a look at it together. We'll add those last few candles in as well. And you can see that the market really does have a nice tendency to move upward, right? That means since we're already continuing here, and this is, you know, every candle is an hour, we're systematically moving forward. We even made a higher high, and we're continuing. So I have no problem at all speculating here on a retest, you know. I already liked it here, and I placed a pending order here. Here I placed a pending order in front of the zone, set the stop loss behind this hole, behind this candle, and went for a 2-to-1 ratio upwards. And here I planned, that was my setup on the euro dollar, you know. That's how I had it set up before the zone and so on. Yeah, yeah, pretty nice. I get it. I looked at the H4. From the H4, I also checked this here. I have space above me here, which means I don't see this as a problem. Like I'm not at the absolute highs. In fact, trading happened here recently. So from the H4, I can see there's space. I'm not running into a wall anywhere. Yeah, that was some information for me. I go back to the home and I set up this setup there and waited for the retest. Well, whatever the market wanted or didn't want, anyway, and I kept waiting, you know. I was waiting for it to play out nicely for me right here. It kept going up, and I was saying, this can't be happening. It looks like it's not even going to give me that retest. Then it started running like crazy, and I thought, look, I really like that symmetry in the market, you know. That means I like it when what happens below the zone also happens at the top, you know. The symmetria, kind of symmetrical pullback, throwback, from pullback to throwback. This one already ran away from me quite a bit, and I was thinking, okay, what would have to happen for it to come back to this zone again, you know? Some news, a reversal pattern, something that would really force it to go down, right? So let's take a look at how it continued. Now the price stopped here at this swing, clearly slowed down. There started to be these falling candles. Here the candles are smaller. All right. Now we started rising again, and I thought, hey, it would be great if this formed a double top. Yeah, then it makes sense. Then there's a neckline here. This is the neckline. And if that was a signal, man, that wouldn't be bad at all. And this is what happened. That's a beautiful impulsive breakout with that neckline. To be perfectly honest, at that particular moment, I really didn't actually see the breakout. You know, I just kind of put it there, to be completely frank. But when I came back to the computer, actually, this was when I was leaving, I was already predicting that maybe since it stopped at this value and started to slowly go down, I was already predicting that maybe it could be, because here it was already playing into my hands, that there could be a retest here and that it might actually push the price downward. So, look, it's just beautiful. This is pure luxury, you know? And of course, at this hour, I was already at the computer, right? Now, I have it as +2. I don't know exactly how, but I was at the computer. That means at this moment, my manual entry was at that zone. This particular entry, somewhere around here, somewhere here, I caught it, not on a check, but at market. I set the stop loss automatically at the middle of the pattern, you know? Conservative traders place it beyond the pattern. I put it in the middle of the pattern. You see me do this very often. So I set the stop loss at the middle of the pattern and went for a 2-to-1 take profit. Of course, now that you see it like this, I thought exactly the same thing you're probably thinking right now, that the real potential is actually down here. That means you could even go for 3. But what do you have in your plan? What do you have written there? Are you aiming for the swing? Are you? No, this isn't just about what you feel like. You follow your plan. That means you actually go for 2-to-1. So that's how the trade is set up, right? It's not really heading in the direction you'd ideally want it to go. If I had my way, I'd prefer it to continue for another 20R because that would bring it much closer to the result I'm hoping for. Of course, that's just my own preference, and I understand others might see it differently. Still, these are important points to consider since they help us understand the situation better and guide our next steps. So, yes, I have one trade to the long side here, but actually I'm trading short. But the setup of the trade, actually the setup here is a double top. Broken through impulsively, neckline, a move back to the neckline. Perfect. That's exactly it. I opened my computer and I was right here. It's not common. These kinds of trades aren't common for me that I would enter at market. But this was such a nice setup, and we recently had a stream about this, that skipping trades is actually the worst thing. I could have missed out on this trade, and we don't even know how it will turn out yet, right? But thank God. So, how did the trade develop? Tada! 2R at home, happy, excited. And now, like, what happens next, right? Now, when you see again my experience, the first time, and hear it, there was a reaction, and actually we made a lower low. That means I'm actually able to wait again for that retest, right? Because it wants to go down, it wants to go down. I still haven't closed it well. Up until now, I don't know when you're watching this video, so by now it's either already closed or the trade has already been processed. But I would definitely speculate on a return to this, to that, again to that zone, to the neckline, and then again a continuation downward. I'll just show you how it actually looked up until Friday before trading stopped. Again, right? Once more, it's what we talk about every single day. What do you have in that course? What I talk about everywhere, right? That means this is our strategy. Some people only trade the first one, just the first, because in a way it's safer and it gives you a bigger edge, but you end up missing out on a lot of trades. I'm not saying the second touch is just as successful, but we're still in positive numbers there. Now the question is, you just have to stick to the strategy every time. Every time it meets the rule and there's a lower swing, you enter the trade. If you always do it that way, you'll end up with a positive result. If you start picking and choosing now, yes, now, nothing, I don't know what your result will be. So once again, we've come to this point, and again, this is what I want to show you, right? Thanks to not giving in to that greed, which was telling me, no, Standa, it's going to go all the way down here. I'm already out of the trade. I've booked 2R at home, and I'm happy that I followed the plan I had, because that's what ensures my success, not what I wish would happen on the chart. I really do wish it would go down here afterwards, but do you understand? That's one thing to wish for. But the market behaves in its own way. I saw it here. Of course I want to go long, and yet I traded short here. Yeah, those are. You have to adapt to the market, not argue with it unnecessarily. Like, read the market, recognize what it's bringing us. Here I can tell that something is going on. And I think you can see it there too, that it's a double top, that it was broken through impulsively, that there's some kind of retest. And so we want to trade it with our 2-to-1 money management. And we've tested it many times, that these setups just work great. These setups work too. Well, here it didn't let me get a sniff. So far, we'll see if I close it, if it goes much further, or if I get stopped out here. All of that will only be shown with time. But even if I get stopped out here, I've already nicely booked 2R here, so I'm not upset about it. And whether I enter a second time, well, I actually didn't even enter. It was already too late for me. But if you do it, it's really all about being systematic and consistent in your approach. I have to admit, on Friday, I honestly didn't want to trade here. And here I'm kind of breaking my own plan a little bit because, like, picking and choosing, saying that today is Friday, so I won't trade. I'm not as successful on Fridays. That's why I trade less. But maybe that's a mistake. Maybe I really should have done it. I'm not perfect. I'm just an ordinary trader, just an ordinary guy, so maybe I made a mistake here. I'll wait and see how the market turns out. Maybe it really will pick up momentum, break through. Maybe it'll make some little gap and jump to some completely crazy level. Maybe something will happen. Now there's another war. Another country has joined in over there. So who knows what will happen. And this here is the euro dollar. The dollar is important. From what I've heard so far, the Americans aren't getting involved, but we'll see once the chart shows us. We'll know how things might look going forward. So far, what it's shown us is that it didn't pick up, but that one did, and it won, right? So you have some things to watch, so you know what to look for there. I think that for most of us who already follow me in trade break and retest, this is a pretty nice trade, right? I don't know how many of you took this trade, but honestly, it's a really great trade. Take care.